Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, as I go to different waters, for example, one of the backwaters where the water from the St. Lawrence River flows under Route 37 and goes into another body of water, which is really the same water. One of those places that I go, I've really started to think about how can a fisherman that's not really a fisherman have success going to places like this. We know that most of these waters have a lot of fish and they have wonderful potential fishing opportunities. But some of us just haven't got to that level where we're very good at doing what we do. We want to learn, we want to catch fish. Part of the reward isn't just the experience, but it's actually catching a fish and saying, okay, this can be done. I can do this. Well, what's one of the ways that I think even beginners have the best chance? And I've really given this a lot of thought. And I think if you go way back in time, go back decades to fishing the way it used to be, you'll see sort of the answer to this. Because back then, when there weren't all these graphs and electronics to help us and cameras to see under the water and watch and find the fish, people had to go out there and do all this for themselves. And one of the ways that seems to work the best is to troll. Because when you're trolling, really what you're doing, you're along for a ride and you're letting the boat and the motion and the change in direction, all these things really become the fishing. And it allows you to cover lots of water. And for a new fisherman, all they really have to do is hold the rod and wait. Wait for that sudden change, which is a fish striking. Feel it. You're still getting most of the thrills of fishing. You're still feeling the strike. You're still battling with the fish and feeling what it does when it fights and the throbbing on the end of the rod and all this stuff. And then looking at the fish come out of the water and being able to take it out of the water yourself when it's by the boat. And, so I think this might be an answer to so many new fishermen of really getting better and better at what they do. Once you start knowing what the fish feels like when it strikes, once you start seeing those areas that you're trolling that seem to be the best, where you constantly will get a strike, you'll be going through all kinds of water where nothing happens, and all of a sudden you hit this area and you get a strike, and you turn around, you go back, and you get another strike. So you say, okay, why are the fish here? You start thinking, you start learning in that way. But, even after all the years that I've fished and my friends that I fish with that are really good fishermen, a lot of times when we're going from one area to the other, especially if we've just got a trolling motor or a set of oars or paddles, then what we'll do is we'll put the line out and we'll say, okay, as we go to where we want to go, let's troll. And you know what happens? So many times, that's the one way we're getting strikes. We're finding and catching fish. And I've had to think about that. And I've thought, there's a reason why all these bass clubs and these bass organizations that have tournaments do not allow you to troll. They won't allow it. Because when you troll, you're relying on something else to catch your fish. And these tournaments are a very individual skill type of reward, type of organization and type of activity. And so there's a reason you can't troll. No, no, no. That gives you an unfair advantage. You got to use your brain. You got to think. You've got to observe. You've got to watch. You've got to change. You've got to adapt. You've got to do all these things if you're going to be successful and the one that wins the money. But don't forget, if you're not fishing tournaments and you want to take a friend or a family member or somebody out there that is sort of shown an interest in fishing but doesn't know if they're going to like it or not, that's a very good way to start, and it's a very good way to assure that they'll catch fish. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.